Okay, so here we have Silky Heart from Toradora, the second opening for the last third of the show. Yeah, it's cool little synth pop tune. It has some synth pop intricacies, we'll say. Okay, first up, let's look into the wacky harmony. So the song is in G sharp minor, which is already probably the most uncommon key, one of the most uncommon keys. I would literally never, ever, ever choose to put a song in G sharp minor. There's just so much thinking involved. So I might accidentally misspeak a few things because, I have to calculate these ones. Usually you can get fast by just, remembering, oh, D, what's a fifth above D? A, because it's a memory thing. But, with this, it's what is B major from G sharp? Oh, it's the third. And since it's the third and we're in a minor key, it should be a major chord. It's a lot more thinking for me. But anyway, so we have this bass line that's completely integral to the whole song. It moves up a tone, and then down a tone, down a tone. It goes up, then down. The way I'm reading it is that it's resolving on the G sharp, putting it in G sharp minor, and you could even you could interpret this E major 7 as G sharp minor over E, because the synth is playing G sharp minor and the bass is just doing weird stuff, especially because slash chords are really, really prominent in this song. Thinking about it in terms of functionality, we would have 6 moves to 3, moves to 1. So it's in the pop fashion, we're not really using proper functional harmony, and we're more just loitering around. Every chord is whatever and kind of equivalent. So it's if you want to feel like nothing's happening, move chords in thirds, because if you think about it, in the key of C, C has C, E, G, and so the third is E, which has E, G, B. They have 2 notes in common, and 1 note is different. And A minor has A, C, E. C and E are from C major, so also 2 notes in common. So these chords, despite moving, actually aren't really doing anything, especially because they're kind of extended, which is why the bass line is much more characteristic in terms of interpreting the harmony here. But anyway, so we just do that loop a few times and we chill for the intro. And then for the verse 1, we actually have no bass, which is pretty interesting of a choice. The synth continues as it was, so the chords are roughly the same, but just without the funny bass notes. So yeah, not really much need to talk about it, really. E major. Yeah, we do end a little bit differently. The last 2 bars, we go back to the 1, and then we go up to the 3. I said notes in brackets are 8 VA because I didn't want to put this on another stave, purely out of laziness. And then we go back to our moving bass line, which is like a triangle, if you want to think in terms of shapes for whatever reason. We have some funky stuff with the guitar adding to the harmony, and we also have the vocal line adding to the harmony. So what I've got is same progression as before, 6 3 1 3 6. Doesn't do anything. Is this different? No. All right. And then what happens? What happens is that it does it again, and then we have a little bit of change. We walk down in terms of bass line, which gives us some weird chords, but because it's so poppy and the harmony is so it's not non-functional, but it's not very strongly functional in that kind of pop way where it's like you can just go to any chord and you don't really care because like I've been a bit questioning about like these sus chords and weird inversions, but it's like I feel like that's what they're playing and it sounds correct when you play it like as a reduction, so it should be fine. But anyway, so we move up to C sharp, which is the 4 of the scale, and then we move back down to our 3, bass walks to the 2, and then we go back to 1, and then we go back to 3, yes, back to 3, walk kind of down to fall back to our 6. Oh, that's the pre-chorus. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Key points are same stuff, just with some guitars and this little extra fill for the last 2 bars. That's kind of a pattern. It's like the pattern AAAB. Hey, it is AAAB. Oh, I can talk about this. AABA is a very common form in terms of pop music. Like if you think about, is it Goat by Polyphia, I think, where it's like the idea is that you play something 3 times and then you play a different thing the next time, and it's a really, really common formal choice for like a riff or a section in pop music. Like it's incredibly common. Pre-chorus is what I'll call it. So this is where it gets a bit funny and really, really dissonant. I believe I've done the saw correctly, but saws are really weird because they have so many harmonics, it can be hard at times to tell like what notes are in the chord because it like interacts really, really funny in a cool way, but it just interacts funny. So what I've got here is what I believe to be it would be 6, 1 with the 7 in the bass, so 1 in third inversion, and goes back to the 1. So it's like kind of like a little bit of a resolution in terms of the bass note, where it's like it's the incorrect bass note and then it moves up to the correct one, but it's a 7 as a sus2. The fuck? Yeah, I guess you could interpret this as G sharp 7 sus2. Yeah, I guess. And then we move back to our 6, and then we keep, which is why it sounds a bit weird, I think, because like transcribing it, these bass notes sounded a bit funny, but like, yeah, that's what's happening. And then we have this little bass walk up over the same chord. Putting the 9th in the bass is incredibly dissonant, and then we move to this F sharp chord over G sharp. Again, putting the 9th in the bass is really dissonant, but it has some contour to it, so it like kind of makes sense. And then so F sharp would be the 7, yes, the flat 7, which is another common pop resolution, but it doesn't sound like a flat 7-1 because it like flat 7-1 is very characteristic, and this doesn't really sound like that kind of characteristic, which is interesting. And then we move back to the 1, and then we do the same thing again a little bit. 6, 1, 1, 6, and then we do a little quick little 2-5 in E, which is our relative major. In terms of G, that would be, oh, it's like a backdoor 2-5 kind of deal. We have 4 minor to flat 7. 4 flat 7 is like a backdoor 2-5, so it kind of makes sense. But yes, so this is setting up a resolution, which we don't actually properly make. But yeah, so that's the pre-chorus. But you see what I mean? It sounds really dissonant, but like that is how it sounds in the recording. So it's like, All right, chorus 1, I will say. Zoom out a little bit. So we change our chords once again to do this. It's like, this is called expansion? I forgot the proper term for this, but we take our motif, which is like the motif characterizing this whole song is the movement from E to F sharp to G sharp to F sharp to E, right? And we usually do that whole thing in 2 bars, but now we're doing it in a lot longer, you know, which is like a common way to vary stuff. So we have what I'd call 6 flat set. Oh, well, technically it's flat 6, but like in terms of diatonically, it's 6, 7, 1, but there is a different bass note, D sharp in the bass, and then 1, 7, 6. So it's like, yeah, what's interesting is that it doesn't entirely feel like a flat 6, flat 7, 1 resolution, which is interesting because like that's one of the resolutions that you can just kind of instantly pick out because it's really common in heroic kind of music. And then we go back to our 6, 7, but this time we're moving to the 5 minor to go back to the 1 as a sus4, and then we go 1 as a major, which is wild, and that sounds like this. But yeah, that's pretty cool and interesting, moving like sus4 to a major version of the tonic, because the tonic's G sharp minor. Anyway, so we move to our chorus repeat, which is a little bit different, and also the ending. So what happens here, same deal, 6, 7, 5, which is also a kind of common like poppy minor key kind of thing. But 6, 7, 5, 1, 5 with the third in the bass. Oh my god, I hate G sharp minor. Oh god, I wouldn't have even ever played a song in G sharp minor. Like, it's that uncommon. And then we have this different thing. Again, if you want, you can interpret this loosely as I know that's a bit different. A, B. See, it's like there's an overall structure here going on. But anyway, so we vamp the 6, 7. So 6, 7, 6, 7 to build up some tension. And then we go back to our 1 for our main synth riff to end on. Also some extensions just from the synth playing interesting notes. If this has the buzz, I'm gonna absolutely freak out. Okay, let's talk about the drums first, I think. So firstly, we have this little anacrusis of 2 beats, but drums aren't involved in that. So for the intro, we do cymbal. The tie means just to let it ring, to just like not stop it at the duration that I have. Preemptive kick, just simplest thing ever. Snare on the 4, and then we have this very, very classic pop dance beat. Very, very classic, where it's snare is on 2 and 4, kick 4 on the floor, which means all the beats we play and nothing else, and then hi-hat on in between the snare and the kick, and it has to be open, which gives us this sound. But then we have this interesting little bit where we first time hit snare on 4, and then second time hit snare on the and of 4, which is like, it's a bit of like, oh, like a little bit interesting. And then we have a really common fill. Oh, by the way, in this, the drums are electronic. Thought I should say that probably. So let's play that whole thing. Not anything too crazy, I guess, just establishes the dancey pop kind of nature of this opening. Right, verse 1 brings I'd say it's the introduction to our drum beat, which is a 16th note bass thing, which is also common in dance music. What do you know? 4 on the floor still, snare on 2 and 4 still, but we have this interesting hi-hat rhythm, which isn't, there's delay on it in the song. There's a lot more hi-hat hitting than you'd, I guess, than looks like here. Yeah, and so we accent this last one as a little pause. Anyway, it's nothing crazy. It just sounds like this. Not even doing any fills or anything. It's just basic, simple. Okay, now we get a bit spicier in the verse when everyone else comes in and there's actually bass. So we have our same drum beat, same thing, but we add on beat 4 a lot of snare fills. So first one, we have 2 flams into 3/16 notes, which is a pretty interesting fill. And then we have the classic ba-da-da, which is, again, very, very, very common in dance music, that whole ba-da-da. And then we have ba-da-da-da. Yep, again, not anything crazy. And then we have ba-da-ba-ba-da-da. Again, very, very dancey. And then we have a cymbal crash, which is pretty rare for this song. And then we lose our snare fills, but on this little stop halt with everyone where the whole groove kind of stops, we hit the kick on all the offbeats, same with all this, with the open hi-hats, and then we have this little triplet thing. Again, playing with the offbeats, which is very, 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 once again, common in pop dance music, which is based off funk. Okay, chorus, literally the same drum beat as before with a crash. I don't need to play it again. And then again, crash, same drum beat, nothing crazy. We end on a crash, and then we have a cymbal shimmer to end. The drums are dance drums. I will say that. Now, the funnest, I'll do the synth next. The saw synth. So I believe this is somewhat wrong in some ways. Probably shouldn't have led with that, but saw waves are hard. I believe this is what is being played. It's not entirely accurate, but like I tried to mimic the funky like little clicking and stuff you can get by like adding additional notes into a saw wave. So the first motif that is kind of characterizes the whole song goes like this. Now, I'm actually introducing this idea for the first time, but dance music is also based heavily around syncopation. This is incredibly syncopated, very, very syncopated. So firstly, we have this dotted, so we hit on the end of 1. No, that would be 2. Why am I getting confused by this? So with this, we hit on the end of 1, and then we hit on 4, end of 2. 1, 2, and that's why I was confused. It's the end of 2, and then we hit on the 4. And then that's kind of our rhythmic idea throughout this. And then this thing's just like held, and then on the offbeats. Yeah, it's just, that's just what it is. Oh, and there's these little clicky things, which adds a lot to it. Okay, here we keep the same thing, except we change the ending a little bit. Again, A-A-A-B, with this whole glides up. Let me just do this first so I can accurately show it. And that, all right, so it's just this little... And then we just move it up an octave, move it up an octave. Oh, and then also this, since this chord's different, we do this little walk up where we just like, we want to get to this B, so we just use the A sharp in between, which is the ninth. Again, kind of any chord tones are fair game because it's like a big hodgepodge melting pot of all the notes of the scale. Because like if you think about it, like a 13th chord is just literally all the notes of your scale at the same time. It's that's what it is. And so it's just kind of hodgepodge. And then we come back to our motif that does not change. And then we have this cool little da, da, just a octave to play it accurately. Oh, and then there's also this little accompaniment idea. Should I have talked about the voicings? The voicings aren't even anything special. It's just what it is. Okay, here's where we get weird. Not entirely sure these are all the notes, but these are the ones I could pick out. So we have this little fourth idea that moves. Wait, what? Fourth. Yeah, so it seems we're in fourths, and we just kind of follow the chords without following the chords, if you get what I mean. And then there's this thing with sixth. They're just kind of like pretty wide intervals that are pretty consonant, but just like voiced as a kind of counter melody. And then we join everyone on the offbeats for this last little bit. Again, A, loosely, not exactly in this case because it's a little bit different on each A, but then the B is like a clearly different thing. And then the chorus, there's this ARP synth that I didn't want to notate, so that's all you get. And we just do more fuller voicings, and then we have this ba, 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 ba kind of idea. And then we have a counter melody to highlight the fact that sus moves to major. And then we keep our idea, but we have a bit more fuller chords. I'm pretty sure that they're standard voicings like this. And then we end with our little riff from before. It's honestly pretty chill, but it just like subtly adds a bit of intricacies to the chords, like how we've got this D sharp minor, but this makes it a D sharp minor 7 with the little walk down, you know, or that it's voicing chords in, like, it's just voicing chords in a strong, clear, concise manner with very basic voicings, I guess, to give it that strength that it needs to kind of resist the pull of like these weird bass notes, you know. It's like, it's cool by itself and it's happy and it's confident enough in itself to survive the weird funky bass notes. Okay, guitars will be quick. There's 2 guitars. I didn't notate them out separately, but one's panned left, one's panned right, and there's a lot of kind of interplay between like it's like an interconnecting kind of Latin kind of inspired rhythmic idea. But anyway, so you have in octaves, I guess here's where you'd probably need like some sort of like A2 notation, or like, I suppose it's a guitar. Would you use div for a guitar? But it's not div, it's unus. Anyway, so if I said unus on there, that would just mean that like both guitars will play this exactly. Whereas if you said div, one guitar would play this line and one guitar would play this line, which gives drastically different sounds. But anyway, so we have this motif of, which is just a leading tone kind of idea, very chill. And then we have just an arpeggio. It's very simple because the overall texture is very, very complicated. That's kind of how like funk inspired and dance music kind of stuff works. It's just a heap of simple things that link together very well. And so that kind of lets it have that complexity because like it's like there's some familiarity to it. Yeah, there's this A, and for B we just don't play anything because, you know, whatever. And then we have this little kind of call and response thing with the guitars where it's like ba da da, and the other one answers ba da da. So that's that. And then we have this cool counter melody slide into just the arpeggio. Actually, no, it's not. It's the opposite of the arpeggio. It's extensions. So this is the 9, 11 moves to the 5. Again, A, B. I don't know what the guitars are playing in the chorus. I know they're there, but I don't know what they're playing. So, yep, I don't actually look, I don't know. Okay, the texture's complicated. I can hear vague guitars, but I have no idea what they're doing. Let's do the next most simplest thing, the vocal line. We have backing vocals that repeat the idea of the My Silky Love in between the vocal phrases. This is actually an A form where we have one idea and we just keep doing it relentlessly. That was the same thing 4 times. Verse is a little bit different. Overall, the vocals in this song are very, very low, which is interesting. Because I'm not used to this, so I didn't know if you put female singers in bass clef if they're like going crazy low, like over here. But I mean, I guess if you keep the general rule of just don't 3 to 4 ledger lines, 1, 2, 3. You know, it's not too many ledger lines. It's not crazy. And also, if you didn't know, I wouldn't use treble 8VB because basically, if you think about it this way, it actually makes a lot of sense. I've realized you only use 8VB if you cannot change. You only use VB or VA if you cannot change clef. So it's like if I'm playing low bass notes and I want to go even lower, I can't change clef to go even lower. Like I'm stuffed, so I'd use VB. If I wanted to go higher, it's like if I used VA on a bass, it's like why not just go into treble clef because it's a lot simpler, or tenor clef or whatever you're doing. Same with treble. It's like if you're going that low, just switch to bass clef because everyone can read treble and bass clef, you know. But if you go higher, it's like if you go past like 4 ledger lines up top, it's like I don't have any clefs to fix that, so that's why you add the VA. But anyway, so core verse 1, what form do we have here? Bit lax on the form. It's just kind of doing whatever it wants. Got to talk about the notes. So in the intro, we actually start on the major 7, which is very interesting. And we resolve to the 3. And then we go back down to the major 7. I guess that's more of a case for G sharp minor over E. But I like the idea. Well, I feel like it's singing the major 7. So it's like heavily on the major 7, which is interesting. And then third of the B, 5, back to the third. So we're taking advantage of the fact that our chords are basically the same chord. So it's like the notes that work well over one chord work well over the other. So you can like really easily, like your voice leading doesn't need to do anything fancy. And then because it repeats, it's the same thing every time. So we really strongly get that major 7 kind of sound. But anyway, here we have... Yeah, funnily enough, the vocal's actually singing lower than the synth. It's pretty crazy. We just hang on the B, which is the 3rd. So we have this idea of like, we start somewhere and then we walk back up. And then we stay there and then we walk back up. And then we walk back up. Oh. A, B. What do you know? What do you know? We've discovered A, B. We've discovered another A, B in the song. So we do that thing 3 times. And then last time we go a little bit higher, like, oh, there's something different's happening. It's kind of like it's a little bit of tension. And then we do a different idea entirely. Well, actually, not really. We just... Why didn't I tie this one? That's stupid. Okay, so these are actually basically the same thing. I just didn't tie it for some reason. That's strange, but okay. But here we actually have A, B. A little bit different for that. I guess it fits the overall like narrative of the section where it's like everyone else is playing A, B. So it kind of like foregoes its idea to like do the greater good or whatever. So yes, and notice B is common to all of the notes of the chords. Like all the chords have B in it because again, it's like they already have 2 notes in common. Like it's very, which is why we're sticking on B. It's like if this note works, why do we need to move away from it? It's fine, you know. Oh, when I did that, is it actually different in the recording or something? Anyway, it's the same thing as before. We just add everyone else and backing vocals. I think it's doubles. I think it's just doubles. Yeah, same thing as before. I guess you have the added context of the different harmony. But anyway, all right, so we have a little anacrusis into like a little run up. Different idea entirely in the pre-chorus. Damn, the major 7 again. Again, B, because like all the chords kind of have B in them. And we go higher. This is very classic. I guess we follow the bass in terms of this. Like we come up with the bass to do F sharp. It's cool. It's a bit of a contour shift. Like you can really tell when she goes into the stave because like it feels a lot higher. Again, C sharp's common to both the chords, so why move? Again, A, B, but this is a bit different because it's like A prime, A, B kind of, where it's like, it's a little bit different here, but it's not enough to call it like a different thing entirely, you know? Anyway. Now we do something funky. We go into the stave and this feels like insane. It's so high. It feels like it's so high, but she's only up here, you know, but it feels so high. And then we've got backing vocals, probably octave doubling it down, I think. But anyway, we have this, so this is actually A, and then we have a kind of extended thing where she goes into a really, really low register to do a little bit of a something different. But anyway, so we have this idea of this, which again just fits the chords. Again, we really love B. Move to F. B is not going to work on F, so we just go to a different note for a little bit. But then we go back to the B actually, which is really interesting. I wouldn't say it makes the F into a different chord, but like it definitely, I think it's a case of just like, it's like the if one line's just like really strongly in a tonality, like it can survive some other instruments not being in that tonality. If you want to be really fancy, it's kind of like bitonality, but like not really, but also kind of. Anyway, so we do that motif again, and then we go really low, like down to G sharp. That's incredibly low for a female. Not really incredibly low, but it's low. And then we're hanging around that G sharp to B kind of area. And then we move up to F, but the vocal melody moves down. Contrary motion. Everyone loves contrary motion. It's really cool. And also it's really cool because it's like, it feels like it's going up, it's getting brighter, because this is flat 6, flat 7, but then it darkens, it goes really low, and then it goes even lower, and then we have this really cool 9th jump to resolve to the 3rd on the D. It's really cool. What's also cool is that the backings actually drop out for this bit, because also it's like, what are they going to do? They can't sing an octave below that. It's like, it really punctuates the feelings around this like little bit of a moment during the song. And then what do you know, when the vocal melody isn't doing something, that's when we do a big fill. Anyway, so then we we do it again. Second time we go a bit higher to do this arpeggio kind of thing, and then we still go low actually, but we change it a little bit to like hold on, because we're gonna finish the song, so we need to like stop resolving everything completely. And then we go move up with the E chord. And what do you know? A mini flat 7-1. Just a mini one in the vocal melody. Okay, and lastly, the synth bass. It's a saw bass. I can't remember if it's the saw or sine bass, but anyway. Okay, so we start by establishing our little pyramid idea of that. Goes up and then back down. Everything else, it's super cool, super chill, but it's very, very syncopated. And then we have this cool little fill towards here that's also very syncopated. Super cool, super fun. Verse 1, no bass, very interesting choice there. And then the bass is added in classic pop fashion. It's kind of like a 4 on the floor idea. It's not very syncopated. And on the off beats, which would kind of fill the role of like the hi-hat, it hits an octave up, so it's like a bit more audible. And then we have this small little bit of syncopation where it hits the next chord it anticipates the next chord by a 8th note, and then it does it again for the next chord. We have this small fill here which mimics the drum fill, and then we have this little falling idea. It jumps up pretty high, and then comes back down. Again, just kind of playing, not really root notes, because it's just keeping its shape up, that triangle of that kind of vamp that characterizes the whole song. And then we move to the pre-chorus where it starts doing funky stuff. It starts being very funky. These notes kind of sound a bit wrong, but I guess I don't think it's actually a saw wave. I think it's a sine wave bass, which gives it a bit of a smoother, yeah. It gives it a bit of a smoother texture. And if dissonance is harmonics clashing and sine waves have the least amount of harmonics, it's like it creates the least amount of clash possible, even though it's got funny, weird notes that it's like putting the ninth in the bass, like I talked about before. Yeah, so we have this idea of that da 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 da, which is kind of new. It just plays around the 4 on the 4 idea with the syncopation, and then it also comes to hit with everyone else for this last little bit. It just really ties everything together. Also jumps up really high here. That's very audible in terms of like a bass instrument. And then for the first chorus, we hit our 4 on the 4 idea again, keep our syncopated idea where it like comes up a bit earlier. I guess it just makes it less boring, because like if it was the same rhythm, if it was just like going bar by bar, it would get really boring really fast. But this one's quite fun. And then we actually change our bass note. We do a little bit of a different bass note, and then we go back up to go down like our pyramid. And then we do the same move as before. And then we anticipate and then do this cool little fill on the G sharp major. It's like not really doing anything, but it's just fulfilling its role that it needs to in terms of this dancey groove. And then we do the same thing as before, but because like we're ending, we just to like climax, we jump up even higher. This is really high for a little, it's kind of like a fill, and then we do our little vamp thing to end. But yeah, it's just doing what it needs to do. It's like the most crucial part of the song, I'd say the bass is, but like it's in its sound that it's really kind of, it's more of like a sub bass kind of feeling. And it's not very aggressive. It really balances out against like the harshness of the saw. But yeah, that was Silky Heart from the second Toradora opening. Currently working on Sentimental Crisis from Lover's War, but that is absolutely kicking my ass. It's really difficult to transcribe because God, it's like every instrument completely changes every 2 bars, like what they're doing. It's absolutely hectic, and it's a goddamn nightmare. But yeah, there's that, and then I'm probably gonna start working on the first opening from Quintessential Quintuplets, because it was like a month ago, but I finished reading the manga, and it's like I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but like once it's like during watching the show, the openings are just kind of lame and boring, and it's like pointless. But then it's only after the show that it actually like gets its meaning to you. It's like watching Quintessential Quintuplets the first time, it was like the opening was like kind of just like getting in the way, and it was kind of boring. But now it's like, oh my god, and I listened to the full song of it, like the full 4-minute song, and oh my god, it might be my new favorite song. It's just so crazy. Oh, and then also I do have San San Days, My Dress Up Darling's first opening already transcribed. That was a nightmare that I'd done actually a few years ago now. But that's going to be a long one because there's like, geez, there's so much to talk about. But yeah.